Be the last part for our decision making chapter on how we make great decisions. And here we are going to look at group decision making. So, a lot of the decisions we make, obviously, we make on our own. But fairly frequently, when we're at work, we will actually be making decisions together with other people in a group or in a team. Obviously, group decision making is a benefit to the organization because we bring in a variety of different opinions and experiences, different knowledge sets, etc. And that helps us make great decisions because we can have more perspectives, more ideas, different angles when we make these business decisions. So these can be fantastic for an organization because you end up with a decision and maybe then a product or a service that is optimal for your business. But of course, there are some pitfalls, some possible pitfalls to consider when we make group decision making. So especially we are looking at the concept of groupthink and how to avoid groupthink. And then there is a couple of strategies for how we make good group decisions at the end of this. So, group decision making and specifically groupthink has been around for a long while. We had Janice in the 1970s really honing in on the concept of groupthink. So, groupthink is when a group of people make a decision that is not optimal, meaning it's not the best decision, but it is spawned by the urge to confirm what we believe that the group wants. So all the people in the group think that this is the best decision, and we think that this is what everybody else wants, and this is not correct. And so we end up with bad decisions. And as you see on this slide, there is 6 different factors that influence groupthink. The first one is the illusion of invulnerability, the illusion of invulnerability. And this is when group members feel that they cannot be wrong, right? Anything they say or do will work out just well. Nothing can happen. And therefore, they are not probably thinking through the courses of actions as much as they should. Unquestioned beliefs can lead people to ignore possible outcomes and moral problems in the decisions we are making. So we have beliefs, we are just taking them at face value, and we are not debating whether those are the right ones. Thirdly, we have stereotyping, and this can cause in-group members to ignore out-group members who may be challenging the ideas of the group. So we're just ignoring those with different ideas, different perspectives, etc. Fourth, we have self-censorship, which can cause people to avoid speaking out against what they believe to be the wishes of the group, right? What the group wants. So we don't say anything. We censor ourselves because we think that the group doesn't want to hear it. Then we have illusions of unanimity, right? Anonymity. I have a handful of words I really cannot pronounce in English. Apparently, anonymity is one of them. So we believe, right? So the point here of this illusion is that we believe that everybody is unanimous, right? We all believe the same things. That's what we think. We may be wrong, obviously, but we believe that that is true. Lastly, direct pressure to conform. So pressure to conform can be placed on members who actually ask questions, who question the group, who plays devil's advocate. And this can give us a feeling that these individuals are not loyal, they are unloyal to the group, and this can also then lead to self-censorship. So to avoid groupthink, we can use the rational decision-making model that we talked about in part 2 of our part 2 of our decision-making chapter. And we can also be aware of other factors that influence groupthink, including those on this slide here. And we also have, as I said, towards the end of the chapter, a few decision-making tools that we can utilize to avoid any group problems when it comes to decision-making. So, clearly, what's in it for us, right? When it comes to any decision-making, Well, anytime we can pause and make a better decision than if we didn't pause and just unconsciously reacted, we are better off. Because as you know, we make a tremendous amount of decisions every day, about 35,000. Anything from, are you going to look left? Are you going to look up? Are you going to wear the brown shoes or the black shoes? What are you going to eat for lunch? Etc. So most of our decisions are not major. They're not big, like which job or what house or what city. But it doesn't matter what decision you are making. Understanding how many decisions we make every day and paying attention to how we make them, being aware, will help us become better decision makers, because we are now more self aware, which we know is an emotional intelligence skill. And so now when we can pay attention to our choices, we start seeing patterns. We know what kind of decisions we make, and from that, we can improve. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these tools for group decision making. The first one is called the Nominal Group Technique. And this is a funnel process where you start individually. So each member of the group will begin by independently and silently writing down ideas. So people should be quiet and focus on their own list. Secondly, each person in the group will announce all of their ideas. They will share all of their ideas one by one. So in this second step, the group goes in order around the room. Every person shares their ideas, and this process continues until all the ideas have been shared and there is no talking. We don't ask questions and we don't say anything about the ideas. We just listen. Once all of the ideas have been shared, now in the third step, we have a conversation around the ideas, and all of the members in the team, in the group, can ask for clarification. And we can also now start making evaluative statements, meaning one idea is better than another idea. Lastly, each person will vote for their favorite ideas by using ranking or rating techniques. So maybe you pick your top three, maybe you pick your first, second, and third, however you do it. That is the nominal group technique, and it helps because, unlike brainstorming, if you sit down silently to think of ideas first, you will come up with more ideas than if you were in a brainstorming situation and people were giving you those evaluative questions, evaluative statements as soon as you shared an idea. We have the Delphi Technique. That is the second tool for group decision making. And this is a technique that utilizes written responses. And these written responses are in a funnel approach again, or in a linear approach. So written responses to a series of questionnaires or questions instead of physically being in a room together and talking. So the Delphi technique allows every person to give their opinion first before hearing the opinion of other people. And this can actually help generate new ideas, similar to what we just talked about on the nominal group technique on the prior slide. So the first questionnaire would ask the individuals to respond to a broader question on a questionnaire again, so paper and pen or on a computer, right? And it typically is a broader question that states the problem, that maybe outlines the objectives. And then each subsequent question or questionnaire is built from the information that you gathered in the first one. So this process will go through a few iterations, and it will end when the group reaches consensus. And the people who facilitate this process, they can decide whether or not they want to keep the responses anonymous and whether or not they want to discuss the responses, etc. So you can make some changes to the process, but it is a funnel approach using written responses to questionnaires. Then we have the majority, which we all know and maybe love or hate, right? So majority rules is a decision-making rule where each person of the group is given one vote, so given a single vote. And the option that gets the most numbers of the votes is selected. And that can work, right? And we use it a lot in business because it's very simple. Each person gets a vote and we vote and you have the answer. However, the people who are in the minority might not be fans of this approach because they don't get their way, right? They don't get their choice. Then we have the consensus option, which is where every person need to agree. So we will have 100% agreement with the choice or with the decision. So this decision-making rule we can use when the goal is to gain support fully for an idea or a plan of action. This decision-making rule is inclusive, it is participatory, and it's cooperative and democratic. So this one we can use when we have a lot of information that can be shared, and also when we have a lot of time, because getting to consensus really is time consuming, as you see in the third bullet point. The main downside really is that it takes so much time, more time than any of the other options we've talked about. So the process works by discussing all of the issues at hand. We generate a proposal, you call for consensus, and then you talk about any concerns that people might have. And if concerns still exist, you would modify the proposal until no concern is left. All right, so 4 exercises. Have you ever been part of a group that used one of the group decision models or techniques that we've discussed here? How did you feel about the outcome? If you haven't used these techniques before, please list which one you think would be best and explain why. Secondly, give an example of a groupthink situation that you have experienced, maybe at work or in your personal life, and the causes of that. All right, so we are now going to wrap up this decision-making chapter. In summary, groupthink occurs when a group of people make a decision that is not optimal. It's not the best decision. It's also spawned, generated by the urge to conform to what we think the group wants. Groupthink can be minimized by awareness of the factors that contribute to groupthink. There are also several tools that can help us make decisions in groups, including the Nominal group technique, consensus, Delphi model, and majority rule. With that, have a great time, and I will see you for our next chapter, chapter 10.